was 13 and I was running cross country. But I had done that many other times, but this race was different than any of the other races I had ran. I felt fatigued and my foot was hurting and I just didn't feel right. Little did I know that was the last time I would run a healthy cross country meet. Then I went to doctors and I was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis. I was told I had a muscle disorder. I had a doctor tell me it was in my head. And I had another doctor tell me I needed to work out my muscles more. And I was thinking I did work out my muscles. I was an athlete. Finally, when I was 19, I went to Missouri with my mom to a Lyme disease specialist, Dr. Charles Christ, and I was diagnosed with Lyme disease. You may be thinking to yourself right now, how does this relate to me? According to Michael Spector in his 2013 article, The Lyme Wars, which was in the New Yorker, Lyme disease is becoming more and more prevalent. It could be you or a loved one that gets Lyme disease. Lyme disease is passed by a bite from a tick, according to the CDC on their website in 2018. How many people in the room have been bitten by a tick? And that's everyone. Most people in Indiana are exposed to something similar to this, a tick. So today I want to talk to you about Lyme disease, how to prevent it, the symptoms, how to recognize those, diagnosis and treatment. We will look at the early and late symptoms of Lyme disease. We'll look at the diagnosis and treatment, and last we'll look at prevention. So as I mentioned, I had some symptoms. I had fatigue and some pain, but there are many other symptoms in the two levels. First, we have early symptoms. The two main early symptoms are a rash and flu-like symptoms. The rash can be like the one pictured, which is a bullseye rash. That's the typical description of a Lyme rash. Or flu-like symptoms, which I know most of us know what those are, include fatigue, chills, fever, and body aches. Next, we have the late symptoms. Late symptoms include other rashes, like the one pictured. They don't have to necessarily be in the same spot. Joint pain and unexplained pain, like the knee that you see inflamed. There's also neurological issues, such as balance problems, facial paralysis, stiff neck, trouble memorizing things. And we have pictured the facial paralysis that can be experienced in one side of the face. Another symptom later on that people experience is trouble sleeping and night sweats. And I found the late symptoms in the Marjorie Heck's article that was medically reviewed on healthline.com. Okay, why did I tell you all of these horrible symptoms? It wasn't to scare you, it was so that you can recognize Lyme disease and what it looks like in others. Once you recognize these symptoms, you can be diagnosed and treated. Contact a doctor. If you want to be diagnosed with Lyme, contact a doctor. Hetch said that doctors, in her article on Healthline, said that they will run blood tests. There are two different types of blood tests that can be ran. They can rule out other diseases that can cause the symptoms, and they base the diagnosis finally on the symptoms. Next is treatment. Treatment can be antibiotics, and antibiotics can be short-term if you've had Lyme disease for a short amount of time, or if you've had Lyme disease for a long time. According to the CDC, you would take antibiotics for a longer period of time. For me, I was on antibiotics for a year. So you may be thinking, I don't want to go through diagnosis and treatment. That sounds not very fun. So there are ways you can prevent getting Lyme disease. So let's look at ways to get Lyme disease in the first place from a tick bite. So one of the most prevalent ways to get Lyme disease, according to Medline Plus in 2018 on their website, is hunting, gardening, and hiking, doing outdoor activities. You can also get Lyme disease ticks in tall grass or from pets if you don't check them regularly. So I'm not telling anyone not to be outdoors, but to limit your exposure. According to the Mayo Clinic, you should cover up when you're outdoors. you should wear real shoes, not sandals, a hat, a long sleeve shirt such as this one, and long pants. And you may be thinking that sounds hot and miserable, but those are very light layers that can easily cover up and prevent from getting ticks. You can also use insect repellent. This is one that has 25% DEET. The Mayo Clinic recommends wearing one of at least 20% DEET. And then after you spend time outdoors, check for ticks. No one is immune, even if you've had Lyme disease in the past. And if you do get a tick, remove it promptly. So you can recognize the symptoms, you can get diagnosed and treated, and you can prevent. There is life after Lyme disease. It does not have to end an active life. For example, I had Lyme disease for 6 years and went through extensive treatment. But now I live an active, full life. I work full-time and attend IU East. And I just want everyone to remember, you can be diagnosed and treated, you can prevent, and the best way to be diagnosed is to recognize the symptoms I've showed you.